I'm blackout. Okay.
I guess I gotta catch up.
Let's do this. All right. Let's start with something fun. Ready? Okay. On the count of 3, we all drink. 1, 2, 3, drink. Welcome back to E2G Hockey with Dan and Tyson, where we have our good friend Derek Hess joining us for the 4th and final installment of our Seattle Kraken super sexy edition of the expansion draft. We're all drinking whiskey and having a good time now. This being the 4th installment, Tyson is seeing stars. Derek has been kicked out of the current room that he's in and has been told to leave the house entirely. Meanwhile,
Have to keep it quiet.
My pants are wet. So we're going to launch off into our 4th installment here of the East Division. So we're going to start off with the sexiest names on the draft, and that is the Philadelphia Flyers, where they have Shane Gostisbehere, James Van Riemsdyk, Jacob Voracek, and Chris Begrass.
All right, well, I'll take him.
First off, those are the big names. Is there any of those 3 that you guys Shane Gostisbehere is making 4.5 and has been down a few years and has been having trouble in Philly. James Van Riemsdyk has got 2 years left on his contract at $7 million, and Jacob Voracek wants out of Philadelphia like it's the plague. Is there any other names on these lists outside of those 3 that interest you? Or are you sticking with those 3? Oof. Tyson, I'll start with you. You've got some connections here to Philly, so let's start with you, bud.
Yeah, I think you said it there. I like everyone on the list. I think for me, they'll have to figure it out, but I think JVR makes a ton of sense. I think he's great. He's also a good friend of mine. Still, I will stand by this: the greatest person in the league to text. Number 1 emoji used throughout anyone in the league. So I think if you look at it from that perspective, Seattle's already winning this pick. So just for the pure comedy and to gel with Captain Tyler Johnson, I think JVR is a very solid option here.
I like that pick as well. I think it probably will be JVR. Given his cap hit, I don't know if he's going to produce enough to really justify that cap hit, but I think he would be a great fit. I think he'll be a great player there. The Flyers don't want Voracek to leave because, he's the mascot. So they can't have him going anywhere. Looks just like Gritty. I don't know if you've noticed that, but
crazy. Identical. It's uncanny.
Yeah, they're either they might be twins. Can't really tell. But James Van Riemsdyk makes a lot of sense here. I think he's a big name. He's a real good power play guy, especially in front of the net. He's got some really sick hands down there. So yeah, I think James Van Riemsdyk makes sense.
So I'm going to go ahead and say this. We are off of our lists, and if you haven't listened to the first 3 installments, go ahead and go back and listen to those. But we're tight on cap already. So I think there's going to be a lot of deals being made to involve these players. We have Tarasenko on this list, for instance. I think he'll be gone, but we're going to be paying Tyson Barrie a bit more than he's making. So I think there'll be things. There's very little wiggle room moving forward, right? In our last kind of couple selections here, but I think JVR, still ends up on this team. I don't know if a contract deal works out or something like that as well. I'm very intrigued to see if actually Philly can profit off of this one. I'm not sure if that's possible, where if they retain some salary, because they're going to be making deals with Voracek as well. This might be one of the few teams that actually profit off of a salary situation here. Tyson has now shown that he has 2 glasses of whiskey prepared because it's been that long that we've been working on this.
I am blackout, and it is 8:46 p.m. Winnipeg time.
Fantastic. Let's move over to the Pittsburgh Penguins, sticking in Pennsylvania. A lot of big names here. Derek, I'm going to let you run it down because Tyson can't read anymore.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I didn't know he could read to begin with, but
cannot. That is correct.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, a lot of good names. I think Jason Zucker at the top of the list there. He's an intriguing name. He definitely has some offense to his game. Fast player, plays with a lot of speed everywhere he goes. Brandon Tanev, I really like his game. He brings so much energy to that roster, hits everything that moves. Love his game, but we're still looking for a goalie, and I think they're going to round it out with Casey DeSmith. I think he's a good backup option slash he can start in the minor leagues, which they're I don't think they're going to have their own AHL team right away, right? Vegas didn't have their own team, I think, right off the bat. But yeah, Casey DeSmith to round out their goaltending depth.
I have no qualms. Word of the day, qualms with that selection. Tyson, do you?
So initially, I'll kind of run you guys through my rationale that I was going to go through. So initially, I was going to take Jason Zucker. I thought that made a ton of sense, but I was thinking you don't want to have too many scoring wingers. Like Seattle doesn't want to embarrass guys by scoring too many goals. So I do think that I agree with Derek. I think DeSmith makes a lot of sense. It's a good goaltending option, rounds out the third goalie selected if my number is correct. And yeah, I think Seattle's going to be a respectful franchise. They're not going to try to score too many goals. They're really going to try to grind it out with those Rocco Grimaldi type of plays. And DeSmith will be there on kind of like a Thursday after night in October to really round it out for the most part. So I like the DeSmith pick quite a bit.
That is lock it in.
Lock it in.
Yeah, that's locked. Top lock it, polka dot it.
That has been the greatest 30 seconds of E2G Hockey history. Thank you so much. Jesus Christ, bud.
Seattle's not taking the Toronto blueprint. They don't want those goals.
No.
Seattle's going to be linked to no free agents.
Is that why 100%. They're taking? Is that why they're taking JVR? Are you going to tell them that?
Oh, I'm going to text him after this. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm going to tell him dump and chase all year.
He'll give you a sad emoji. Sad face.
Grind it out.
All right, let's move across. And speaking of sad emojis, let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres.
Oof.
Segways.
I was about to say that was a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We're hitting our stride.
Only took 3 whiskeys.
I only took 3 whiskeys and two crying sessions. Jeff Skinner is staying in Buffalo. Congratulations, Skinner.
You can definitely lock that one in.
Yeah, lock that in. Colic Paso staying in Buffalo. There is a guy here that I like. There's a few guys that I think are okay, and they could do better with a new change of scenery. Tyson, in your estimate, is there a guy that who could really benefit from a fresh start in Seattle?
Yeah, I'm probably looking at this from a skewed perception, but I'm going to go with another close friend of mine. I don't even think cap-wise it makes sense, but Cody Eakin is a very good friend of mine. I will go on record to say that Cody Eakin is the most Winnipeg person that I've ever seen. He'll show up, and I'll see him in the summer. He's in full camo gear with a Bass Pro Shops hat. Really, really great guy. Also may make history as the first person to be selected in 2 expansion drafts.
He was picked by Vegas.
Picked by Vegas, has a Vegas tattoo. I know it well. And so I think that if you're gonna, make a pick, I think Eakes honestly is a really great depth guy that I think just Buffalo is a little bit of a dumpster fire, but I honestly don't hate it. It's a little biased 100%, but I don't think there's anyone else here that I can pick. So I'm going to go with Cody Eakin as well.
Yeah, I like Cody Eakin a lot. I think he really established that depth that Vegas had after their draft. Like, I thought he was probably one of the most surprising players after that draft, like how well he performed that first season. I love Cody Eakin's game. I mean, he's pretty much a third, fourth liner. Like, for sure, he's not going to be going up in the top two lines, but man, is he consistent and he's good. I like his game. But again, given the defensive situation, I think I'm looking at more of an established guy as well with Colin Miller. I think he's kind of just like a safer pick right now, just because we don't have that core defenseman back there. And he's been around the league for a while. He's been playing for a while. Not to say that he's going to be their number one, but I think he just makes sense right now. So I would go Colin Miller, even though I really like Cody Eakin a lot too.
What do you think, Danny? When you get tiebreaker?
God, that Bass Pro Shop image and the fact that you just confessed to being lovers with Cody Eakin because you've seen his tattoo exclusively, like, I'm really into that. But
as Eakes told me when Cody signed with Buffalo, when he was still about to leave Winnipeg, he told me that he was about to be a weapon with Buffalo. And I think there's no better weapon that Seattle could get than Cody Eakin. I'll stand by that.
I don't know. I heard Eakin was the only guy that Toronto didn't want. So I don't know.
I've heard that he's linked to Toronto.
Dang.
Come on, let's bully Tyson some more.
I'll FaceTime. Actually, I can't even FaceTime him. He has an Android.
I'm siding with Tyson. I'm siding with Tyson.
I mean, I'm not even mad about it because I really do like his game a lot. It makes sense.
I like the idea of him being taken into expansion drafts. I think it's a good narrative. Bring that back. Colin Miller's got a little bit too much of a cap hit that I don't love, and I don't think he's enough of a rock on the defensive end to justify it. I think they're going to try to make Tyson Barrie the defensive image, which I think they can do. Financially and when point production, defensively, I think Zadorov will be that rock. So I think I like the Cody Eakin pick more. Mm-hmm. I think we have tons of center, but I think we got a lot of guys that are versatile who can play wing. I'm going with Tyson's blackout ego right now.
Yep. I mean, it's much easier to move a center to wing than a wing to center. So
true.
Can never have too much center depth.
Cody Eakin, you made a compelling point. Most Winnipeg man alive. Lock it in.
When Cody Eakin gets selected by Seattle, I will have a great story about Eak's off-season training for last year.
Well, you have
fantastic.
to make sure you have to make sure he gets a Seattle tattoo as well.
It'll go right over, promise.
All right, let's jump over to let's work south to north. Let's go with Washington, D.C. Let's go with the Capitals. Alexander Ovechkin, future captain of the
Lock it in.
This is one of those teams that I feel like is in a good place where they're going to lose some pieces, but I think they have enough to be okay. I mean, I think they can lose any of these guys and kind of fill the void, right? They're all about the same player that they're losing. Is there anybody that stands out to you guys here as I drop stuff?
There's a few. I mean, I think there's a few interesting players on this list. Going for probably another safer pick, although, obviously the cap that we've had for the players picked, it's not really accurate. But I think kind of a safe pick for them is Brendan Dillon. I mean, he's signed for, 2 more years? 3 more years? Yeah, he signed for 3 more years. I mean, he's 30 years old. I think the cap hit might be a touch high, but he's been around the league for a while. He's got a lot of experience. I mean, he's a physical guy as well. So you have, Zadorov and him, and I think they could really hold it down back there.
Tyson?
I like that pick. I'm a big Dillon guy ever since he was with San Jose. I think it kind of is a parallel to Zadorov. He's maybe not a guy that puts the puck in the net quite a bit, but he's solid defensively. He can move the puck. His first pass isn't terrible. And I think as you're kind of rocking out a rocky defense, you need some guys that are a little bit more stable if you're going to have those offensive defensemen, especially younger offensive defensemen. You look at a Kylington or maybe a Honka, where you want to give those guys a little bit of space to move. And there are some good names on the list, but I like the Dillon pick. I think it's sturdy. Something you don't have to worry about. You know who Brendan Dillon is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like the Dillon pick a lot. I'll jump on that. The only other one offensively that I thought about might be good was Hathaway, but again, he's more of a type of player that we've been getting, and I think Dillon's defense is I won't say elite, but I'll say it is.
It's very sturdy.
Yeah, you know what you're getting, and it's. You talk about a guy that could anchor a defense. I think Dillon can do it.
Not afraid to stick up for his teammates at all either. He'll be the physical guy if they need one.
I like that. Lock it in. All right, let's move north. And now I got to think about map. New Jersey.
I got to look at a map.
Let's look at New Jersey. A lot of sexy names here. And I actually looking at this again, I'm gonna launch us off here.
Yeah, give us your pick first.
Will Butcher. I think we take another defenseman. I think it's very similar pick, and that was where I was at. But now, that's where I was. Now I'm looking at what we've built here, and I have to kind of go, is that where I'm still at?
I think I did the same thing. I think when I originally did my list, I think Will Butcher was my guy.
There's nobody stands out to me offensively. Um,
Street Student.
I think
Wasn't Nick Merkley a pretty highly
Merkley
thought
was
of
good.
prospect? Like he was a
Yep.
pretty.
man,
So maybe he's a guy you almost take a flyer on, but
It has been a while on Merkley too. I was kind of
yeah,
thinking that too, but it's
that
for
ship has
me.
sailed. Maybe.
I think so. He is a big body. I forget he played in the OHL. I'm pretty certain. I forget exactly where. But he's a great player. But for me, Connor Carrick isn't as exciting. You're not looking at Quenville as much. I don't think you're looking at Tennyson. I think Will Butcher makes a ton of sense.
the only other thing I can think of is another UFA agreement with Ryan Murray, where you get him for less than the Will Butcher price point.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the only other thing I can think of that makes sense. Where you say, "Hey, we'll give you a 3-year deal at 2.5, and then he'll be 30 and he can cash in again, like where he's still good." So, and Ryan Murray is a former second overall pick. That's the only other guy. Will Butcher, obviously, we all know was like, kind of that Justin Schultz situation.
Yeah, he's a
Yep.
free agent, right?
So I think it's one of the two. And if they can get Ryan Murray for less than Will Butcher, take it. If not, Will Butcher.
I actually really like that thought. I think Ryan Murray is a really good player. 4.6 is a little bit steep. If you can get him for a cheaper price, I think he'd be a steal.
Yeah. So lock it in.
Lock
We're,
it.
we're locking in the one or two. You're taking one of the two because you're not touching PK Subban with a 10-foot pole, because PK Subban right now is a better analyst than he is hockey player. Sorry, I love you, PK.
Hey, like that's saying a lot. That guy's very talented.
I love PK Subban, but he's fun to watch. He's more. I like to hear him just like. I like him on Instagram. I like that persona. He's gonna have a long.
Oh, so you just think he needs to retire?
No, I think he needs to not be making.
And he's from Toronto, linked to Toronto. Let's not forget that. Hometown Toronto guy.
All right. Let's move north again. And I don't know which one's more north, but let's go with the Rangers because it's not as attractive as the Islanders. Sorry.
I wonder if Danny has a take on this.
It's my team. And I think kind of like teams we've mentioned in the past, they're really just in that position to not lose anything, like a Dallas, right? Where we're like, what do you take here, right? Yeah. Brett Howden was that guy, buddy of yours, Tice. But Howden's going to get a fresh start out in Vegas, which I think is great for him. I like the Barclay Gaudreau trade for a 7th round. It seems great. I don't think Seattle is going to go, hey, let me try to sign Barclay Gaudreau now. I don't think they're going to try to take him and sign that time. There's 2 names. I was really shocked that they protected Kevin Rooney. That like caught me off guard. I was like, we're going to take Kevin Rooney over Colin Blackwell? Really?
Yeah.
But I think we need wings, and I think we need speedy wings in Seattle, and so I'm going Julien Gauthier. I think the guy was kind of stifled under in New York. And I really just think there was too many good wings in front of him. Then you brought in Kravtsov. Then you brought in, the Cats want in.
Yeah, sorry. Keep going.
I think there's too many wings in front of him. Kravtsov was there. I think you have Buchnevich, who's rumored to be being traded. You just had too much going on that I think Gauthier could be a guy who could actually work into your top 6 in the next year or two. So I say Gauthier is my guy out of here. Do you guys have any? Blackwell would be my other selection, but Blackwell is a little bit older, and I think Gauthier is the guy.
I like Gauthier quite a bit. I think I do like Ty Ronning. I think Vancouver Giants former player, current player, really, really solid. But I do like Gauthier quite a bit. Yeah, the Rangers don't get me super excited. I think you look at the roster and Brett Howden really would have been my guy, I think, if he was on this list. But I think it's something you go for speed. You just try to luck out and hopefully you get someone, right? So I think Gauthier probably makes sense, but not a ton on this roster, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, you guys nailed it. I think Gauthier makes too much sense. You have to go with him. It was kind of surprising that they protected Rooney, although, when I was watching the Rangers, like he's a guy that impressed me. Like, kind of came out of nowhere a little bit to me. I didn't really hear about him before that, and I thought he's played pretty darn well for him. But yeah, Gauthier, easy choice for me on this one.
I think Rooney's got more of a Brian Boyle upside to him. Maybe better hands than Brian Boyle, but a similar role. Great defensively, and so did Brett Howden, though, right?
Yeah.
But Brett Howden really could be a top 6 guy if given the right opportunity, more than anybody. I wish him all the best in Vegas. You know, you can wish him.
Hopefully, Rooney can find some success with the Lightning then a couple of years down the road.
Right. All right, Gauthier. Last 2 teams. This one, we're gonna go to my home right now because it's not as spicy a situation, and that's Boston. We're gonna look at Boston right now. A lot of big names here on paper, but a lot of them are UFAs, like Taylor Hall, David Krejci, Tuukka Rask. They're not going anywhere. Those guys Boston's going to lock them up, and they have a plan in place right now. Derek, why don't you kick this one off, man?
Yeah. When I made my list earlier, I'll go straight for it. I put on Andre Kase.
Yeah, Kashe, I think. Yeah.
Kase, yeah. Was he Czech or something? I can't remember exactly.
I think he's Czech, yeah.
But yeah, I think did he come over from Anaheim, was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Anaheim. I think a guy who just has never quite reached his offensive potential. And I think there's a lot there. I think he had a little bit of injury troubles. I don't think he can like kind of generate everything himself. I think he's got to play with some pretty good players. So he might have to play in like a top 6 role to really meet that offensive, to kind of reach that level of offense that people thought he would. But I think he'd be a good pick. I think, maybe a bigger role in a place like Seattle, maybe those numbers will jump up. Give him some consistent power play time. Maybe he'll score a little bit more goals, but he's still a pretty young guy. So I think there's potential there.
I like that pick. It's not.
Where's the but?
I'm almost convinced they're going to take one of the 2 young defensemen. But you just made a ton of sense to me. Like, looking at what we've built, looking at what this team, like in terms of potential of offensive upside, Kashe's really got a lot there. But I really like Connor Clifton and Jeremy Lauzon, 2 guys that really stepped up and got a lot of experience when Boston's back end got injured. And everybody's worried about losing them. Like, I listened to what Boston's worried about losing those 2 guys. They're not as worried with Kashe. They're just not. I also thought they thought that Kashe was going to be protected. I did. I didn't think Trent Frederick was going to get protected. I'm not as big on Trent Frederick.
I don't know if it's like an injury thing. He hasn't played a lot for Boston.
Tyson, what do you think?
I do think it's important to point out that of Boston's fantastic draft record, that 2 players where they could have gotten Matt Barzal and Zach Senshin and Jacob Zaboral, that they have decided to expose them in this draft, where they could have easily exposed Trent Frederick in this hypothetical situation and then had Matt Barzal on their roster. So moving on from that tremendous draft acumen by Boston. I like Kashe. I think Koklachev is also someone who I've been really big on and has shown flashes of being really, really solid. I like Lauzon, and I do think there's some potential. I think there are some gems here, but I think in terms of if you're looking for scoring wingers, and now Seattle's played it a little bit more conservatively, maybe they're trying to pop in a couple more goals now. I think Kashe makes a bit of sense. I think that's a 15 to 20 goal scorer, if not more. So I could see it working out pretty well.
Am I getting bullied on this one?
I mean, I think you are. You're definitely getting bullied.
I think Kashe makes more sense.
Well, especially if they like maybe flip Tarasenko, they kind of need that shoot first scorer.
As teams have shown, like if you have scoring wingers, like that's an asset, man. You can trade it. I don't think there's a detriment to having scoring wingers. It just seems like teams around the league often need that commodity, whether they need to trade it away or bring it in. I think it doesn't hurt to have that, and I think that makes sense here.
but he is an RFA. Is that a factor, or do they get him on a 2-year prove it kind of deal where it's tradable?
I would take that bet. I don't know his agent, but I would take that bet. I think you have a few RFAs on this roster. I think showing with what happened with Vegas, you're probably not going to get a better opportunity to, up your value.
Yeah.
I like this. Yeah. Especially if I'm an agent going into this negotiation, like I'm pretty happy to, if I believe in my player and I'm going to take a gamble, this is probably the best situation you're going to get.
All right. I'm officially bullied. Wow. Thanks, guys.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Last and definitely not least in terms of wild scenarios.
Yeah.
The New York Islanders. Didn't think we were going to finish here, but I'm not mad about it. Now, here's the rumor going around.
Who you think are in the running for one Vladimir Tarasenko?
I think Tarasenko, they were big on Panarin a couple years ago. I think Tarasenko does a lot of the similar things in terms of just pure talent. I think Tarasenko is a couple steps behind Panarin. He's not quite Panarin.
He's
a
pure goal scorer.
Absolutely, no question. The injuries are a concern, sure, but the Islanders need that guy. And you put him with like an Anders Lee or I don't know, but here's where I'm really like, oh, the Islanders are really making a push here. They really either want him or Landeskog, and bad. They are shedding cap. They have Jordan Eberle and Josh Bailey available here. Now the rumor is, if say our team, our wonderfully crafted, wonderfully crafted Seattle Kraken team, we've got Tarasenko, we've taken him early on. We turn around and flip him to the Islanders. The rumor is that we'll take Jordan Eberle. They want us to take Jordan Eberle, but they're going to also throw in Thomas Hickey and Leo Komarov, plus more, right? There's or something else there. There's more pieces coming back, so you're getting better players that they actually want. I don't want Leo Komarov, by the way. I don't know why that's there, but something is in the works, is what I'm hearing, right? Now you throw in Tarasenko as well. I just think it makes a ton of sense. I think I just combined two different points to one, so we may need to cut that out. Sorry. But the Islanders and Tarasenko seem to make sense to me. Gosh, damn it. That took way too long.
I like it. I mean, you took the long way going to it, but I think if you look at the Islanders' history and having pure goal scorers, I think it's something you need. I think Matt Barzal isn't that, right? Where you don't have a 50 goal scorer in that, where if you surround him with the right players you're healthy, like there's no reason why Vlad in a full 82 games can't score 50. Like really, there isn't. So I think that's something that the Islanders miss dearly. I think they've been riding Barzal really heavily, and they have a great committee of talent behind him, but Anders Lee isn't the goal scorer that Vladimir Tarasenko is when healthy, right? So I think there's a ton there. And I think if they can pull that off and he stays healthy, Islanders come out really on top of that. And that's a big move that they need, I think.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine Barzal with a shoot first natural goal scorer on his line? Like, crap. Like, they could be electric, which is not a word you use to describe the Islanders when you watch them play.
No.
Which is also kind of funny because like no one really wants to watch the Islanders, but you look at this unprotected list and it's one of the most exciting in the league, kind of. If based on what you're saying, Danny, yes, I think that makes a lot of sense to Tarasenko. Now, if I'm just purely going on this list, I want to pick a player. They have a lot of guys, like, they have the Hosang and the Del Cole, who are high draft picks who, just didn't pan out. Again, maybe they need a little change of scenery. But going for more of an established guy who's proven that he can produce year after year, I think Josh Bailey is a guy I would take a strong look at for sure.
I would take a strong look at, but for cap purposes.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
And with everything going on here, do you know who I want on this list? Is Sebastian Aho. Like, yeah. if the deals happen around here, the guy that has the most potential, I think, defensively, who could play up and down and that on the left side, I like Sebastian Aho a lot. I think he just got kind of buried in a system place, and I think he's kind of He has potential to be more. I want whatever deal happens between the Islanders and the Kraken. I want Aho, and Eberle seems to be like a lock almost. I like Eberle. There's nothing wrong with Eberle, and I think he fills the same role as a Josh Bailey. But on pure player alone, if I were to just, I know, is that Bo or Peep?
That was Peep.
Peep, I know. Peep says Bailey.
You heard it straight out of her mouth.
Tyson, what do you think?
I think the same. I think if you look at it, there is like, it's a really tempting list. I think you go through, I do like the Dalcol and Hosang angle. I just think you pick one of those players. It's just a missed opportunity. I think you've already taken some gambles throughout that it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know. I was with Derek a little bit more, but that Aho offer is looking really, really good. I think I might have to go with Aho here. I think that makes a lot of sense for me.
Yeah, I do like Aho a lot too. It's just, at his age, if it doesn't work out in Seattle, I wonder where it would work out.
Yeah.
But he is a very intriguing. I mean, you don't want to call him a prospect at this point, but yeah, he's been kind of buried in New York, and I think a good opportunity again. He could really shine.
Amazing. So let's run through the roster one last time. We have Ryan Johansson, Vladimir Tarasenko, James Van Riemsdyk, Max Domi, Tyler Johnson, future captain, Chris Tierney, Alexander Kerfoot, J.D. Comfer, Jay Beagle, Cody Eakin, Sonny Milano, Christian Fischer, Julien Gauthier, Andre Casse, Ryan Donato. That's a high-scoring offense. Remember when you said early on that you're like, they're not going to be scoring and dunking on everybody? I think you're wrong. I think they're going to be dunking on everybody, Tyson.
Well, that's why they didn't want to take Jason Zucker and be respectful, right? That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like they don't want to run this score up. They have this offense. They're going to go crazy. Like, sprinkle a little Rocco Grimaldi in there. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And then we look at the defense. Brendan Dillon, Carson Soucy, Troy Stetcher, Nathan Beaulieu, Sebastian Aho, Julius Honka, Cale Clegg, Jake Bean, Tyson Berry, Ryan Murray, Oliver Killington, Nikita Zadorov, and Annette, Carey Price, Casey DeSmith, Chris Streeter.
It's a strong roster, man. Really strong.
That defense could be crazy good, but very unproven from top to bottom.
Definitely. D could go either way. It really could. But I mean, that's what they said about Vegas's D, and then they really showed out. Really 100%. Showed out. It could go either way, but I love the potential of that core. Yeah. Offensively and defensively and goaltending. Really solid roster throughout.
Well, it's now 4 a.m.
Feels like it.
Yeah. This has been awesome. Tyson, why don't you bring us home, bud?
Oh, this is very unexpected.
I know. First off, I'm going to go ahead. Derek, thank you for being here. Thank you for going through this and having fun with us.
No, I appreciate it. That was a great time. I mean, I love talking hockey whenever I can, so that worked out well.
Tyson, shall you?
Thank you for listening to this 4-part docu-series on the Seattle expansion draft. I don't have anything to add.
This has been a very long but fun episode of E2G Hockey. If you've been listening, thank you so much. We'll be back on Thursday on E2GSports.com with a full analysis breakdown. And please be looking out for us. Follow us on Twitter. Thank you so much.